great to see everybody.
Holy hell! Holy hell! Brother! The hits just keep on coming. With Jimmy Hart! Hey, Pat, if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, we would not be here tonight. Amen to that. Well, let me tell you something, brother. You know something, maniacs? I've been in this business for over 40 years, and the greatest part of my life was being part of this great WWE, guys. You know, I've had all kind of tag team partners over the years, but you, the fans, have been my greatest tag team partner because you guys have stuck with me through thick and thin, dudes. You know, I've got a new tag team partner right now. I got Hulk Hogan's Real American Beer that I've teamed up. And in the past, I've had a whole bunch of partners down the line. I had incredible partners like, ooh, yeah, the Macho Man Randy Savage. I've had giant-sized partners like Andre the Giant. But the greatest partner that the WWE has ever had is the fact tonight we're making history and the WWE is tag teamed up with Netflix, the greatest tag team partner of all time. So what you gonna do when the WWE and Netflix runs wild on you, maniacs? Well, Hulk Hogan's Real American Beer is now an official partner of WWE. Get ready. As far as I'm concerned, all this crap in the ring represents these fans out here. For 2 years, brother, for 2 years, I held my head high. I did everything for the charities. I did everything for the kids. And the reception I got when I came out here, you fans can stick it, brother. Because if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, you people wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff would be still selling meat from a truck in Minneapolis. And if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, all these Johnny-come-latelys that you see out here, wrestling wouldn't be here. I was selling out the world, brother, while they were bumming gas to put in their car to get to high school. So the way it is now, brother, with Hulk Hogan and the New World Organization of Wrestling, brother, me and the new blood by my side, what you gonna do when the New World Organization runs wild on you? What you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Don't touch me, I'm gonna flee the lawyers.
You are listening to your Raw on Netflix first episode review here on the Dirty Sheets podcast. I am joined by my son, Austin.
Hello.
And Austin is basically just here to try and restore some balance to the show if he can. I don't think he feels as annoyed by the show or as disappointed by the show as I was. So I'm going to start with my statement and try and put this into perspective. Try and actually listen to the words that I'm saying. This was not the worst wrestling show in history, but it also was the worst wrestling show in history. And here's what I mean by that. It was not literally the worst show in history, but when you weigh up the expectations and the opportunity that was on the table, your largest audience of all time, your largest possible audience of all time, the most people ever that had the capacity to watch a single show, the return of casual viewers, lapsed viewers, part-time viewers, new viewers, every type of eyeball that you could have was on this, and you basically fumbled the ball. For me, given what the expectations were, and if you correlate that to the expectations of every other wrestling show, and where and what you feel they should deliver, this one fell short more so than any other. So based on that, for me, this was the worst show in history in terms of delivering on expectations. Not literally the worst show, because trust me, this is going to be far more watchable than what you see next week and the week after that, when Judgment Day are opening up the show and Chad Gable is having a 20-minute match, and we just go back to the dross that we've been watching over the past 2 months, well, pretty much since SummerSlam. This was better than that in terms of, entertaining you at least, but constantly throughout the show, expectations fell short, and ultimately this delivered absolutely nothing. And the mentality that the WWE have, and I particularly blame Triple H, and I'm going to run through each individual thing. We started with the top of the show with Hogan. We will talk about Hogan. But this mentality that the best way to book this show and to introduce people to Monday Night Raw would be to book a B-level pay-per-view. WrestleMania Light was not the way to approach this. Saturday night's main event was even worse, because that was a very low-level, B-level pay-per-view, and this may be a high-level pay-per-view. But nonetheless, when you had that audience in, what you needed to do was capture the essence of Monday Night Raw, capture the essence of what Monday Night Raw has been, episodic television, episodic storytelling that sets up the fucking pay-per-view. You don't give people the pay-per-view, because the wrestling part of wrestling is the most boring part of wrestling. It's the part that you build to, and all we are really interested in, at least for me and casual audiences and people with lives, which some of you don't have, I understand that, because some of you watch AEW, so you really have no lives. But for the people that have lives and who care about their time, what we want to see is a good build with a decent story, good spots, and a good finish, a good conclusion. We don't care about the wrist locks and the headlocks and the first 10 minutes of the match where guys are wearing each other down. No one gives a fuck about anything that happens on any match on Raw before they get to the first ad break. They are the facts that I am stating here. And to give people a watered-down pay-per-view was a massive fucking mistake. And if I go into specifics, I can bury what happened to Hulk Hogan. I can say that the main event was underwhelming. I can definitely talk about what the fuck was The Rock doing out there, and we're going to talk about all of it, and I'm going to bring Austin in. But I wanted to just summarize right from the top that this, for me, was a massive failed opportunity, probably the worst of all time. Austin, am I taking it too far?
I don't think you really are. The Rock was
Well, I don't want to talk about specifics. I just want to talk about the overall show. We're going to run through specifics.
The overall show, massive letdown. Every aspect of it pretty much was a letdown, other than one or two things.
As we were watching it last night when you stayed up and each thing that was advertised was happening. Rock came out first. We knew he was going to be there. Then we had Tribal Combat. Then we had, what did we have after that? John Cena came out. John Cena was fine. John Cena came out. We had then the women's title match. Then we had Hogan come out. And then we had the Drew match.
Hogan was after Drew.
Okay, either way, I don't give a fuck about the chronological order. What I'm trying to say here is that nothing delivered. Every single thing, time after time after time, underwhelmed. Even though Tribal Combat was absolutely fine, a lot of people were looking for a turn. And then you thought that might come via The Rock when he came out there and he wanted to do the Ula Fala, and you're waiting for Heyman to turn or a low blow from The Rock or something. Maybe they've switched away from the Cody thing and thought, okay, John Cena needs to challenge for the belt. CM Punk needs to challenge for the belt. And perhaps we pull the trigger on Rock Roman. No, there was absolutely nothing there. This show disappointed at every single hurdle. Every advertised thing was a letdown. Other than the Tribal Combat, I would give it a pass just because we didn't get a major angle. That doesn't mean that you can just completely disregard the match. And Cena did what Cena's supposed to do. So let's run through. I'm going to start with the stuff that I think is most important. And for me, that's Hulk Hogan. I'm going to start with Hulk Hogan. I want you to speak first, and then I'll go on a big monologue. So just speak about the occasions that you've met Hulk Hogan, which has been multiple times. So just, and maybe even make comparisons to certain other wrestlers if you want to.
Okay. To start off, I think that this was really sad to see him getting booed in front of all of those people, getting booed out of the stadium. It was really hard to watch because I've met him a couple of times, and when I've met him, he's been a very, very nice person. I know that people think things have been said and it's a whole Kamala Harris state, but he basically put that company on his back and built it all those years ago, and they have no right to boo him whatsoever.
Well, you have the right to boo and cheer who you like when you buy a ticket, but at the end of the day, the reasoning behind it is kind of pathetic. And I think beyond the crowd, because we know when you go to California that you are going to get these woke, liberal, trans-loving fag pussies in the crowd. And the problem is bigger than that. The wrestling audience, as someone said on Twitter, a lot of the people who are considered to be, I would say, your cooler fans, your more outgoing fans, people with lives, have left the product, and they may have came back to watch it last night, but they wouldn't necessarily purchase the ticket to Monday Night Raw. So what's happened with these people is that they've navigated away from the PG product and a product that has too much wrestling on it, and they've gone over to the UFC and other things like that, and probably just checking with the WWE during WrestleMania season. So a lot of these people that were there and that were booing are people who will be led and follow the likes of Sean Ross Sapp and Dave Meltzer. And when you have the wrestling media leading the way, you have woke, liberal, social justice warrior fags telling you what you need to like, what you don't need to like. And a lot of the wrestling audience are very weak-minded. They are incapable of formulating their own opinion. They are too weak to make a decision or on anything, and they will literally just follow along. And the leaders are pathetic. The people who tell you what's good and what's bad and what you should enjoy is a pathetic bunch of overweight, balding virgin shitheads who have no right to dictate to anybody in any industry what they should and shouldn't like. But somehow these people, these woke social justice fucking losers who are bullied at school, have somehow managed to navigate their way to the most relevant positions in the wrestling media. You can see and hear when you watch the media scrum that these fucking losers get to ask their loser questions, which are quite frankly no one has zero interest in the answer because the questions are so bad. Only at one point did someone ever ask any question that went viral when they asked Triple H about the Ronda Rousey situation. And other than that, it's been completely dead. It's been softball questions from losers that haven't got the guts to ask anything decent, and it's been a complete waste of time. So when these people are dictating a narrative of what you should like and who you should like, this becomes a problem because you are leading people who don't have the balls to have their own fucking opinions. That's the first problem. The second problem is this. There are a number of people in this company who personally do not like Hulk Hogan. CM Punk has openly spoken about it before, and Triple H is another one. Now, there was a great opportunity coming up next week at Madison Square Garden where Hulk Hogan won his first championship in January 24th, 1984. Now, there was a great opportunity to put Hulk Hogan in Madison Square Garden, and you've been Madison Square Garden, right?
Yeah, a couple of times.
Right. What do you see around the building? Obviously, you see things from Ali, you see things from the Knicks, like historical window displays. Who has a huge window display at Madison Square Garden?
Hulk Hogan does.
Right. Hulk Hogan does. Hulk Hogan has two, actually. He has one with a WrestleMania one with his boots from WrestleMania are there, and then a separate one for winning the championship and whatnot. You cannot get away from Hulk Hogan at Madison Square Garden. Him and Vince McMahon are hugely appreciated there. I don't know if the Vince stuff is still up, but I know the Hogan stuff was after this racism scandal, which quite frankly wasn't that racist. He said a lot of things that a lot of Caucasian fathers would agree with, and I don't disagree with what he said entirely. So there was a great opportunity to put him there, and instead they put him under the bus. They put him in woke, liberal, social justice shithole, the shithole that is California, and threw him out there as someone who said what he said and as someone who religiously supported Donald Trump throughout the whole campaign. And you're in Kamala Harris country here, as I said, woke, trans-loving pussies, and this is the reaction that he got. And it would have been known, whether it was done to bury Hulk Hogan because you don't like Hulk Hogan, or whether this was a deliberate effort on behalf of Nick Khan and Triple H, knowing that this would get headlines, and it did. It has mainstream media attention, and with mainstream media attention, what could potentially happen is anybody that didn't watch Netflix last night may now go back and watch the show to see how badly Hulk Hogan got booed. So it's free publicity for the WWE. Did they use Hulk Hogan for free publicity, or do they hate Hulk Hogan? Either way, Hulk Hogan is the victim of this fucking bullshit. He's the victim of these arsehole fans. He's a victim of Triple H, who, by the way, is not a messiah because he does not know how to book a compelling episode of Monday Night Raw, and he is mostly responsible for fucking this up last night. And yeah, I don't know who to blame, but I think it's an appalling situation, and I'll forever support Hulk Hogan based on my personal experiences with him, the way he treated my son, and made the extra effort for a child. And I understand that this thing that I watch, which previously, not so much anymore, gave me a lot of peace and enjoyment and a break away from the actual stresses of life, from working, paying bills, having to be here or there, to sit down and watch your wrestling. Wrestling was more guaranteed to satisfy you than sports, because that's what it's designed to do. There's no controlling the outcome of sports, but wrestling, when done correctly, is perfect. And Triple H, in my eyes, doesn't know how to do it. Doesn't know how to do it to the extent that he's given credit for. He can do it a lot better than Tony Khan, but this was a real fumbled opportunity. And moving on to one of the biggest fumbles of the night, if not for some people the biggest, let's talk about The Rock. What the fuck was that? What the actual fuck did we watch? Do you have an explanation? I have an inside explanation, and I'm going to speak about it on the Wrestling Informer, because I've been doing a lot of free content lately, and I have more of an understanding of what happened with The Rock, but I want to hear what you have to say in terms of someone that doesn't have all the info, because you're not supposed to have all the info. You're just supposed to see what you saw, and what you saw was the end of something that you invested a year of your life in.
Yeah, I can't be any more disappointed in what happened. The Bloodline story is the story that I've been most invested in for 3 to 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought that going into this, I had a lot of hope that something big could happen here. He could rock bottom Cody. He could rock bottom Reigns. He could go to solo side. He could steal the Ulafala. Anything like that, just anything. Yet he goes and puts the Ulafala on Roman Reigns, hugs Cody Rhodes, and has drinks with him in the back.
Right. And that's the problem. The problem isn't that The Rock didn't want to do anything, or didn't do anything, or he wanted to go out there and put his lips round the dicks of the people running Netflix, which he did. He basically just went out there and sucked them off. It was softcore porn, basically, the way that he talked about the executives, which was just stomach turning. And he went out there and did that. If you're going to go out there and do that, it's fine. If you don't want to evolve the story, that's fine. Don't move the story on. That's fine. Absolutely fine. Don't fucking say, I want to show my appreciation for Cody. I want to show my appreciation for Roman. And backstage, you're drinking with him, which is stupid, because A, it destroys the story that we've waited a year for, which includes when they transferred something over. Do you remember last year on Raw where he transferred over something to him? He goes, I'm going to put something in your hand, and you don't even have to open it to know what it is, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
We're never going to find out what that is, because there's obviously been some kind of shift, but instead of postponing it and going back to something that everybody was invested in, you've now decided to be best friends with Cody Rhodes. And at the same time, what kind of man is the character of Cody Rhodes, who just forgives The Rock? Because there was no apology. It didn't end at WrestleMania, and The Rock didn't come out after WrestleMania and say congratulations. They carried on the story. So this is a guy that blooded you and insulted your mother, and now you're having drinks with him for absolutely zero reason. A storyline was butchered in the opening promo, and then you continue to show all of this backstage bullshit, and I just don't fucking understand why this happened. The Rock absolutely proved people wrong last year with this evolution of the final boss. When people didn't want to see Rock and Roman for some reason, which I wish we just got it now, he turned back the years and did something that we never thought we'd see, because of him being linked to Hollywood and making films like Moana. We never thought we'd see a heel version of The Rock, and instead we got something that was more extreme than Hollywood Rock from 2003, and then to undo it with absolutely zero payoff. I said to Austin, if this was an availability issue, which it isn't, by the way, because I'm going to talk about it over in the Wrestling Informer, if it was an availability issue, just promote the match for the first show of Netflix. Main event with Cody and Rock, and have Cody win. But, and I'll give you a hint, Rock losing to Cody is the biggest part of the problem as to why we are where we're at. So I'm not going to say any more about it. I'm going to talk about it over on the Wrestling Informer, but I just thought this was absolute fucking shit to erase everything. I feel ripped off. I feel ripped off financially and emotionally for investing in what I invested in last year for Mania. If I had a ticket for WrestleMania 41, I'd be furious. Inevitably, I will have one, but as far as where I sit and what I pay to and how much I pay to sit wherever I sit, it will be drastically less than last year. I'm just looking really to go there, see the show from a reasonable seat. Wherever I sit, I watch the fucking screens anyway. I just can't help it, and a lot of people do that. So I will sit where most of my friends sit because a lot of people are going, and I will match whatever they're paying, and that will be absolutely fine for me. Because the undoing of this means that you now cannot trust The Rock whatsoever. I will not trust The Rock to pay off a story. He told us in an interview last year that they're at the 1 yard line in terms of paying off everything. That all they've done so far, everything they've done so far, had carried them up to the 1 yard line, and they were first and goal. Well, that's certainly not the case right now because we've got absolutely nothing to look forward to. And I'm at the point where, listen, I don't give a fuck now about Rock Roman. Do it, don't do it. I don't fucking care. You were in the midst of a very clear-cut story where The Rock would take the championship and Roman Reigns would try and win it back. It was a very clear Roman to Cody, Cody to Rock, and Rock back to Roman. It was all set up. You had 2 years of Mania there, and for some reason, you decided to not only postpone it, but you burnt that fucking shit down. You now cannot go back. Definitely not to one of the matches. Perhaps Roman and Rock can happen based on that stare down of whatever that was. But quite frankly, I don't give a fuck. I will not invest emotionally, or I will not get excited about anything that The Rock does on WWE television ever again. He can fuck himself at this point, and so can whoever is responsible for what we saw. Because if that, I would have just not had him on the show. If there is stuff going on backstage, or I would have just cut it off. Come out there, blow the execs, and then go fuck off into the back, and don't be seen again. Like don't set existing storylines on fire to the point where we can't go back to them. Anything else you want to say?
No, that's it. I'm just extremely disappointed.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to find good parts of the show. I liked when Cena came out there.
Yeah, I think Cena part was good as well.
And kind of told you he was going to win the Royal Rumble, but made it so obvious that I don't think he will. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I think he'll win Chamber. Because
right.
they did the same thing. They made it seem like Jey Uso was definitely winning Money in the Bank, and they gave it to McIntyre.
The Jey Uso and McIntyre match was very underwhelming. It was just there. I don't feel that Liv Morgan should have lost the championship to Rhea Ripley. I am a huge critic of Rhea Ripley. This is someone who's been at the top for 2.5 years that she's been pushed under this Triple H regime, and she still can't fucking speak. She's cringy as fuck, comes out there singing her own theme tune. She doesn't sit right as a babyface. I'm not enamored with her or massively attracted to her like some people who will say that she's the greatest thing walking. And the wrestling matches aren't great, and she cannot speak. She cannot cut a promo. And she's out there, and we waste The Undertaker on her, which was among a lot of things that they wasted. I thought Liv Morgan was doing a far better job. I thought there was far more upside keeping the belt on Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley's just pushed as a favourite of Triple H. Triple H had a hard-on for China. He's obviously got a hard-on for Rhea Ripley, and I don't get it. Some people are really in love with this woman, but for me, she's average looking. I mean, great body, but average, like very average looking, average matches, and terrible speaker. Awful on the mic, despite the fact she's had so many opportunities to speak. Judgment Day almost opened 50% of Raws last year, and I mean even the year before, sorry. And yeah, she's not got any better. What do you think?
Yeah, I would have much rather have Liv Morgan keep the championship, because as I said on the other podcast, she was one of the...
Especially when you find out where we're going, because I'm going to talk about that on The Informer and where we're going with Rhea Ripley, and it's basically a direction, a repeat of something that no one was really interested in before. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I don't understand where they're going to go from here. I
know, but you've already seen it, and it wasn't that interesting the first time round. So that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I would have much rather than keep it on Liv Morgan. I think she was a much better champion. She can actually cut a promo. She's pretty good in the ring. I think most people...
Much better to look at for people joining Netflix.
Yeah, I guess so.
If you want to put her out there to do media and things like that, 100% better.
Yeah, I think they even sent her to the NFL game.
Yeah. Rhea Ripley draws in a certain type, but it's your goth, black wearing people who have pierced their eyebrows and noses and lips and have tattoos on their faces kind of people. The unemployed basically. So yeah, was not a fan of that. As I said, not a fan of the Drew thing. As I said before, Tribal Combat was the best thing. Just because we didn't get a big angle there doesn't mean I can necessarily shit on the match. But it says a lot about the matches on this show when Roman Reigns trainers have got the most publicity from the actual matches. I've not heard a peep really about Punk versus Rollins, other than the fact there is a certain segment of the audience who are disappointed that Punk won. Something that I hear continuously, and maybe it's just from your AEW fans, is that CM Punk just cannot seem to get in shape. This is someone who's worked for the UFC before, has trained for an MMA fight, and yet he only wrestles once every 2-3 months, and he continues to look out of shape. Why can this guy not get a professional trainer, professional nutritionist, professional dietitian, and get himself in shape for a main event of WrestleMania? CM Punk's never been in great shape, but obviously at 46 now, he looks particularly bad. And I'm coming from a position, look, you hear this from other podcasts, and then it's some fat prick telling CM Punk he looks bad. I am in better shape than Punk, and I always have been. And I'm only 4 years younger than him. So this comes from a position where I can tell you when I'm Punk's age, I will look better than that. So I'm not one of these fat pricks who are turning around and trying to body shame someone when I look awful. I've looked bad for 18 months of my life when I couldn't walk and I was gaining 0.5 pound a week from sitting there trying to recover from a completely broken leg. So, I mean, Austin you watched it break.
Yeah, like your ankle was the other way around.
Right. So it was the most severe broken leg possible, and it was the only time that I gained weight, which was at the end of 2021 and took me through to 2022. I only actually started walking on my own just before SummerSlam. It was a large part of why I didn't go to WrestleMania 38 in a walking boot, but that's neither here nor there. My point is I'm not some fat mark who's criticizing this guy's body, but it seems to come up all of the time. But if we want to focus on the match, the reason we're not, and the reason nobody is, because there's nothing to focus on. They used a finish that they already used in AEW. Punk beat Rollins the same way as he beat Ambrose. I don't know if they were trying to be cute or whether there's a lack of creativity. Like, I don't know. I found the match to be underwhelming, but there's also an element of me being so pissed off and disappointed by this point that I was not ready to even like the match. And by the time I heard the music for that match to start, I was like, wow, we're at the main event and this is all we've got. We've not got a single big angle. We've not got anything that's set up anything for WrestleMania whatsoever. It has been so cookie cutter. It's been so ordinary. It's been so boring. And there hasn't been... in the build up to Raw, they played multiple video packages where you saw all of the great moments. Can somebody tell me what the great moment was from this show, which was the biggest of all time? Can you, Austin? Can someone?
There was nothing really.
Is anybody at home listening to this saying something into their headphones? Can you tweet me or can you contact? Can you DM Austin on TikTok? What's your TikTok?
Dirty Sheets Wrestling.
Dirty Sheets Wrestling.
At Dirty Sheets Wrestling. Yeah.
At Dirty Sheets Wrestling on TikTok, where Austin's posting his videos. Comment on one of just any photo. What was the great moment from this fucking show? So the main event, underwhelming. Punk goes over, cuts a promo at the end. He's in the Royal Rumble too. So nobody's challenging Gunther. Punk and Cena are both in the Rumble. One of them, I think, will win, I guess. And maybe Roman Reigns is beating Gunther. How about that?
I wouldn't mind that.
Maybe Roman Reigns is beating Gunther at the Royal Rumble. I think we've covered all of the significant parts of the show. I think we've covered all of it. Obviously, during the show, you had celebrity involvements. It was littered with celebrities. Macaulay Culkin, Travis Scott.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't really... This doesn't do anything for me, but it's not for me. I recognise it's not for me. I recognise it's for people who tune in casually and think, oh, this show is really cool. Like, oh, there's fucking Bad Bunny, Kendrick Lamar, Macaulay Culkin. I mean, Bad Bunny wasn't there yesterday, I know that. But, I mean, even if there was just any moment where they had any kind of crap match yesterday, like say they had just a 6-man tag between some jobbers and Brock Lesnar returned and destroyed 6 people, that would have been something where I turned around and went, wow, that was a great part of the show. Otherwise, we've just got Cena-ing. And if Rollins and Punk was something they claim people waited 10, 15 years for. I mean, obviously it's 11 years since Punk left now. But, I mean, I guess that was a match that people wanted to see earlier than that because Rollins was champion over on NXT and it was always looking like he was going to be the next CM Punk or whatever. But I felt it was very underwhelming. I'm not complaining about other things that some people are, like Becky didn't come back on the show. In fact, it was probably the lack of time that meant Undertaker and Hulk Hogan did such insignificant things. I don't understand how you don't open up the checkbook for Steve Austin. He absolutely needs to be on the show. As I said on the preview, I feel if he didn't turn up on the show, the door's closed. I don't think we'll see him again. I don't think there'll be a relationship there. I don't look for him to do anything on the network either. Is there even a network now?
No.
No, okay. So, Peacock then. Yeah, I don't think it's harsh. And this is, as I said, my score for this show is based on what I expected. So just because if I give this 3 out of 10 and next week I think the show's a 6 out of 10, that's because I don't expect next week to be anything. Even though it is in Madison Square Garden, my expectations are very low. My expectations for this show are very high and they were not met. So by those standards, for me, this is a 3 out of 10 because 2 out of 10 is gonna get a lot of criticism, and it looks like it would be too skewed towards me being a Hogan fan, and really desperately wanting The Rock to do something relevant. And as I said, if you head over to the Dirty Sheets, if you go to thedirtysheets.com, I'm immediately going to post the latest episode of The Wrestling Informer. I have now spoke to people. I've now done some investigations, which I didn't want to do. As I said, I wanted to be surprised by this, and the surprises were awful. Almost wish I had prepared myself for this level of disappointment. So, yeah, if you want more information about The Rock, information about where we're going with Rhea Ripley, they'll be my main stories over on the latest episode of Wrestling Informer, which you can get over at thedirtysheets.com or by hitting the subscribe button here on the Dirty Sheets. If you hit the subscribe button, then obviously via Apple Podcasts, you can unlock that additional content. I've not yet got a wrestling Instagram. I think just following Austin is fine, because most of the stuff related to wrestling we post there. So that is at Austin's Toys and Games. Austin is also on TikTok, or is running the Dirty Sheets TikTok now, which is what?
Dirty Sheets Wrestling, at Dirty Sheets Wrestling on TikTok.
At Dirty Sheets Wrestling on TikTok. I have no X that I want you guys to follow right now. My Instagram is at Billi SGP and at Lock Betting. I will be rejoining X, or I'll have Austin run an account where we can engage once again, because these shows are going to be weekly. I'm going to even continue to do content with Cav. Then you have the Wrestling Informer behind the paywall. A lot of this was geared towards WWE being on Netflix and me expecting huge things, a huge Netflix show, at least a big start for the first few weeks for the road to WrestleMania, big Rumble, massive pay-per-view, and a big WrestleMania. And I am very, very underwhelmed right now, as is Austin, and Austin was here to keep it balanced and has actually agreed with everything that I said, which I wasn't expecting, because he actually has defended one or two things, but maybe it's sunk in for you over the last few hours how bad it was. I'm not trying to lead you into you're free to say whatever you like here.
I know, but I've seen some stuff online. I've really thought about it, and I've recognised how absolutely disgracefully awful the show was.
What do you think the worst thing was? You're not
in my
tied.
In my opinion, it was The Rock.
Right.
Because I'm not that tied to Hogan.
No.
As much as you would be, but because you watched him growing up and stuff.
I was appalled by that, but I wasn't as disappointed by it as the Rock thing. The Rock thing has really, really shocked me. It was so unnecessary to go as far as to drink with Cody. It was almost like they were sending us a message, and the message was this: don't expect this anymore. We're telling you now. We don't want to see tweets about it. We don't want to see complaints about it. We want to get all of the complaints out of the way now. We want to condition you so much. We want you to completely understand that you're not seeing this. Do you feel that that was a clear message then?
Yeah, I think that Rock and Cody will never happen. I think that's it. And I don't even think Roman and Rock will ever happen. But I mean, there's still a chance for that, but I don't think.
Would you care as much now?
No. Not. I would care, of course, but I'm not going to care as much as I would have, because that used to be my number one.
Would you even trust them if The Rock came out in? If The Rock came out, if there was a big show promoted in September, for example, and The Rock came out and saved Roman, say Roman's champion, and The Rock picks up the belt and he looks at it, he looks at the belt funny and puts it onto Roman's shoulder. But because he looked at the belt, would you be like, oh my God, they're doing it. This is it. It's going to... I would just be like, I'll believe it when I see it. I don't trust them at all now. I mean, I'm just giving you that as an example. I don't trust them at all. I
mean, I would be excited about that, if I'm honest with you. But I wouldn't 100% be excited. Like, I'll...
Well, you trust them that you were getting it, and that all the money had been sorted, and the winner had been decided, which as I've teased is a key factor here. The winner had been decided, and everybody knew exactly where they were going. You trust this company now, would you? And you trust The Rock personally?
Not 100%, but I would slightly trust them. Yeah, but not as much as I did 2 days ago.
But once you've been burned, it's hard to trust, and if you don't trust, you don't care.
Yeah.
It's just that everything goes hand in hand. So anyway, guys, that's our Raw on Netflix first episode preview. Very disappointing. We've already given out all of our social medias. As I said, there will be a Wrestling X account again, probably by next week. But until then, that's it for me. That's it for Austin. Thanks for listening.